I've got a light that is greater than fear, and it dries up my tears. I got a light.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Something Light. And as you can see, it's not just Seyitan and I today. We have a guest that is back for the second time.
Yep. The remix.
Yeah, I guess this is a remix of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you've not seen the previous episode, he was here with us for. Please, make sure. I think that was season 1.
I don't know.
Check out. Yeah.
But yeah.
I think it was season 2.
Yeah.
Click here.
Church and politics.
Still a click here.
It was a very insightful conversation. So yes,
That's why we had to bring
we're
him
happy to welcome Chux back.
Hey, thanks for having me back. I'm glad to
Thank
be back
you for
after
We are glad.
many seasons. Yeah.
Many seasons. This is season 5.
And you guys have kept it going, right?
5 or 6.
It's crazy, man.
Wow. Well, anyway, I think it's 6.
Okay.
Season 6.
something.
Can you imagine? Very soon it's turn to Grey's Anatomy or something.
Drag us.
That's something, man. Wow,
see.
great job. Yeah.
Thank you. Despite our, we just go off sometimes. Maybe it would even be more than that. But yeah. So it's good to have Chux back with us, and today he's joining us to just, talk about the similarities, differences between Orthodox churches and modern day churches. So I'll just allow him to give a quick introduction before we,
Okay.
jump into it.
Yeah, sure.
Just something about yourself.
Let's make this short. Just go up here and click for the last episode where I came to see my introduction.
Fair.
Because nothing has changed since the last time I introduced myself.
Sure, no, something has changed.
Please make sure that when you're editing this, you put that in there. I really want that to work.
Fair.
Something has changed, right? Yes. Last summer, someone came to interrupt my wife and I's communion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Got a baby now.
Yeah.
Apart from that, same. My name is Chux, and I live in Cambridge, Ontario.
Yeah.
And what else?
You work at a tech brew or something.
Yes, and I go to church every Sunday.
Wow.
I know, right? Some people go some Wednesdays, but I'm not yet that advanced.
Okay. Noted. All right. So, thank you again for joining us. Okay, so like I said, this episode is staying on theme with this season's theme of talking about those church subjects that we sort of don't really want to talk about, don't really enjoy to talk about. So today we're just going to be comparing what's different. Is it good that it's different? What's similar? Is that good? Or, just we'll be getting some insights from Chux because he grew up in an Anglican church. So, and we'll be learning, some things that we probably don't know about the Anglican church and just, comparing.
Oh boy.
So,
I'm yet to go through the whole book that I bought about the Anglican church and the synods from Constantine.
so, this is not TEDx.
And all that, but
It's not a TED
anyway.
Talk.
Yeah, let's chat.
No pressure.
We're just
No pressure.
just a little chat.
Let's chat.
But what would you say is can you give a brief introduction into growing up in an Anglican church?
Yeah, sure. So I was born an Anglican. My mom is a Catholic, married my dad who's an Anglican.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so she's an Anglican now. So I still we have that old Orthodox form of service, and in my village in Anambra State, it's every Christian there is either Anglican or Catholic. Yeah, there's no Pentecostal church there and all that. And I think my family became Anglican because they were the ones that schooled my dad back then.
Okay.
I think they built the first hospital in the East in Onitsha then. So that really helped a lot of people, especially in Anambra State, to warm up to the missionaries and that whole movement. So I haven't been. So I was born in there, and it was good. Attended on Anglican communion.
Okay.
When living with my parents, and it was like normal church, like normal thing, right? You do your baptism as an infant. You do your what do you call it? The classes to go for communion, which I've forgotten.
Catechism.
Yes, the catechism classes.
Interesting.
You have a godmother during Mother's Day. She's the first one you give flowers if you go to the same parish.
Flowers.
Yes,
That's a theme. That's so cute.
You give your godmother first, and you present or gift for you.
I got some.
Your godmother.
You like to go to Anglican church first.
I think that whole concept of godparenthood is becoming a little bit more
secular,
or can I say commoditized even? I don't know. And it's starting to lose its meaning as you give your best friend something and all that. It's really a strong concept in the Anglican communion. And
can you tell us a little bit about it? Because it's probably new to a lot of people.
Yeah. So basically, the idea is if the parents die, it's the godparents that take care of the child in the Anglican communion. They instruct the child and teach the child. Birthdays and Mother's Day is usually the one that I remember the most, where you do something for your godmother. It's
so
just
is there
honor
any part
as such.
for God? So, because you say you've been saying godmother a lot. What about the father?
Is there anything like that? I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't think there's anything like godfather as such.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's Mother's Day, right? And I guess Mother's Day in the Anglican communion is the 4th or 5th Sunday of Lent.
Okay.
So it's when you honor her, it's where you talk to her. Even I can remember my mom reporting me to my godmother to come and talk to me when I was entering teenagehood, give you advice and just guide you.
So there's that commitment to the spiritual growth.
And even on your baptismal certificate, when you baptize, your godparent that sign.
That sign? Oh.
Yes.
Not your parents.
They also sign, like these are the parents, but I think the first set of signatures
that's interesting.
Yes, I can remember my baptismal certificate. It's a very strong thing. So that's an introduction though. It's have I left the Anglican communion? I don't think so, because I not officially leave. It's just when I left my parents' house and moved to Lagos. I did not try. It was just Redeemed was the closest church to my house. It was like a 2 minutes walk. So and the Anglican church was like a 25 minutes walk. So
so it
was just easier to go there. Coming to Canada, Redeemed was the closest. Even though they have the Canadian Anglican communion, but they don't really.
Not the same.
That's another topic again.
That's another
because 50 years back, most of the Anglican churches, the Anglican church in Nigeria is called the Church of Nigeria.
Okay.
So we've got the Church of Nigeria, we've got the Church of New Zealand, Church of Canada, all those things.
Okay.
They all had this good standing with the Archbishop of Canterbury, which is the head of the Anglican, or the supposed head of the Anglican communion. But as we started entering the 2000s, many of these churches around the world started to break out because of some preferences or some ways the Church of England, which is the head of the Anglican Communion, was moving.
Oh, I
Like
see.
in the place of appointing gay bishops and some social issues. So many Anglican communions in Africa broke out from the Church of England.
Oh, I see.
That used to be the head, but I think the Church of Canada is
Still under the Church.
still not really like they were not necessarily under, but there's something that they call it about close community. I've forgotten what they call it, right? Like under, yes, they can be under, but I don't think they were really sending funds like the Catholic Church that send stuff. But there's this thing. It's we can
Like
think
an
of it as
alignment.
under. Yes, you can think of it as under as such, right? Yeah. So I never really visited an Anglican. Okay, I think I visited once or twice.
In Canada.
Yes, for weddings.
Okay.
The sacraments were the same. The order of service was the same. You could relate. I was even quoting something from the
memory,
the Nicene Creed and all those stuff,
Okay.
right? So it was interesting, seeing their worship, and you won't even know the difference.
Okay.
The organs and it's
Nice.
really interesting.
So, what was how old were you when you had your first modern church, in quote, encounter? Like a service, a Pentecostal service, or like a more modern church?
Okay. Yeah. I think I've always been seeing it around. You turn to NTA on Sundays, you see Oyakilo Medu, atmosphere of miracles.
Yeah. Okay.
And you turn on the radio, you hear the man from Elisha, or is it Areogun or something?
Yeah.
To every day talking, right? So you're exposed
I think
to
it was
this.
every morning.
Before by
As they are
6 or
getting
something.
ready for school, I remember every day.
Yeah, both in English and Yoruba. So
Yeah.
I think you get exposed to this, you understand how they think, how they teach, and as a child, you don't really recognize doctrinal issues as such. You just it's basically the same thing. Jesus is Lord. This is the same thing my chaplain was saying. Same thing Okotie was saying. The same thing Ariogo was saying. Jesus is Lord. Jesus is good. We used to have praise and worship, right? So it's the same set
In
of
Anglican
songs.
churches?
Yes, we used to have praise and worship. There's also the hymns too.
Okay.
But you don't really necessarily see hymns in atmosphere of miracles. But you see some worship which you recognize some of those songs.
Relate to those. Yeah.
And there's this concept of charismatic Anglicans or charismatic Catholics.
Yeah.
So the charismatic movement started in the 60s or thereabouts. Just going back a little bit, church history. You know of the Protestants, right?
Yeah.
Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Martin Luther, sorry.
Yeah, Martin
Bishop Martin Luther, yes. And the Protestants, that's the division from the Catholicism, the Catholic Church, and the Protestants. Some broke away.
Yeah.
Under the Protestants, a lot of divisions came out, right?
Yeah.
You've got the Baptists, you've got the Baptists were like Calvin, Methodist under Wellesley, Charles Wesley, or I've forgotten his name. A lot of them, Anglicanism broke out under the Church of England, King Henry. I've forgotten the number. So a lot of these things broke out. They were running for like 300, 400 years. And sometime in the 1900s or early 20th century, Protestantism came up. Sorry, not Pentecostal. Yeah, Pentecostal is like the Pentecostal movement broke out on the Azusa Street Revival.
Was it evangelicals first before Pentecostal?
Evangelicals. So evangelicals is kind of interdenominational, right? So if you remember, like so between the 16th century and 20th century, like those 400 years where before Pentecostal movement came up, many of these Methodists, Adventists, Anglican, Baptist, some of them were part of this evangelical interdenominational stuff to send evangelists to other parts where where Jesus was not yet known.
Yeah.
So that was how the evangelist movement really came about. So put aside your doctrinal issues, like the Baptists believe in, they don't believe in child baptism.
Yeah.
The Anglicans believe that, the Methodists believe in the first work of grace, second work of grace, that methodological, that's why they have their name there. So the Pentecostal movement started from the Methodist church. So they brought in that third work of grace.
Okay.
Which is more of the baptism by the Holy Spirit with the evidence of speaking in tongues.
I see.
So that's what happened in Los Angeles for like 3 years on Azusa Street. So just capturing that, you had people who believed in God, that their sins have been forgiven, the first work of grace. You have people who believe they are sanctified and they are cleansed, there's the second work of grace. You have some other people, Baptists and everything. Everyone was just working in that, Jesus is Lord, I am saved, and all that. A lot of those Pentecostal shoots. There's some cult folks, though. Let me not enter those. I refer to them as cults, but there's a technical word for it. So these Pentecostal guys came and started talking about the Holy Spirit, the third work of grace, and speaking in tongues and everything. So they started the Pentecostal movement. That's when he started having the apostolic churches and all these things.
I see. Okay.
So we still had the Catholic Church, we still had the Anglican Church. So somewhere in the 60s, some of these chaplains or bishops started narrating their own experience of the Holy Spirit.
Oh, interesting.
How they came in contact with him, how they started to speak in tongues and everything. It started happening in the 60s or 70s. Some started laying hands to be healed. Some started praying for the sick and all that. That's part of the offshoot of Pentecostal movement that started in 1900-ish. So why I'm saying all this is the charismatic movement seems like an individual stuff. If you're the bishop or the chaplain of a church or an Anglican church and you've encountered that third work of grace and you're speaking in tongues and everything, you might put it in your service.
I see.
During prayers, you might, during house visit, because the vicar or the chaplain comes to your houses and everything, and the way he prays might look like Oya Kilome that is praying, because he's a charismatic
Anglican
bishop. And so I grew up with some of those charismatic chaplains.
So I guess that would make it not so shocking.
Yes, it will make it. The only difference is they wear collar and their robes,
As opposed to suits.
as opposed to suit or Jerry Call or something. So
That's Jerry.
so that's my way of saying, like, it wasn't that much of an adjustment, because if you think of it, Redeemed is a Pentecostal church. Yeah, I think. They're under the Pentecostal movement. They're under, Pentecostal is split into two, right? The holiness and the, I forgot about the third one.
I did not know that.
The holiness movement, yeah. So,
But I think I get what you mean by the holiness movement.
yes, like the holiness side of the
holiness
Pentecostal,
and grace movement
something like that. The holiness side
probably has a different word, but I think
there's So remember, I talked about the third work, which is the speaking in tongues or the baptism of the Holy Spirit. But the holiness side believes that the Spirit might not flow well in an unholy vessel. So that is where I believe, in my opinion, assessment of things, RCCG
is more the holiness,
and some people fit into. While some people feel like after the first work of grace, it is a journey that Christ starts working with you as a journey. So you can start speaking in tongues even after a while. You don't necessarily need to have that posture of
perfection.
Yes. So after the first work of grace, you can have that baptism and all that. So that's another line. Some people call it the grace movement, but there's a technical word for it, and I'm struggling to come up with some examples of churches that do that.
That's right.
So I was just saying that to say the transition going to redeem from England wasn't that wasn't that crazy as such. But I am seeing new churches, modern churches, and all that coming up. And
so, but was there any, especially maybe in university or before, during, or whenever, did you have any culture shock moment during a Pentecostal service, or like something you went like, really, you guys do that? Was there anything like that?
Yes, I remember as a teenager growing up in university environment, some Pentecostal group students went to the mountain to await
the coming.
Yes, and
the Lord.
yes. So, and they said it was spoken to them, and it was an interesting experience.
I think it was a big issue.
It was a big issue, yeah. So, and something that really amazed me is the boldness through which a lot of modern Pentecostal movement assert or affirm
the Holy Spirit told me
things. That boldness is something that I was still getting used to, because coming from an Anglican background, you hear things like, if the Lord may, if the Lord will,
By God's grace.
but it now became a little bit of more, and I mean there are merits to all these things, right? There are merits both ways. That was the first. This is what the Lord is saying. It will come on this day. And the boldest, the assertion that
I think that they left school, they said they were done with everything. What's the point?
Yeah, so
All of them here, was he their leader?
I don't know.
all of them, all of them, I believe. Another thing is the length of service. The length of service, because in a lot of Orthodox churches like Anglican, Catholic, like a Sunday service is this amount of time, because you do A, B, C, D, and by the time you do D, you know that okay, we are reaching the end. But with Pentecostal, you may attend these 5 redeemed parishes, and they are different.
Because it's the move of the Spirit. Some people just come on.
Yeah, sometimes service might be 2.5 hours, sometimes it might be 1.5 hours.
That's true.
But with the Anglican Communion, this is service period. You can plan your time, you can plan. So I'm like, how do people
Plan their lives.
Yeah, just open it up like that to that uncertainty. And when you're in D, you don't know if you're going to E, F, G, H, or you don't know if you're ending at D. And so it was just a bit unusual for me. Another thing is also the can I call it the ceremonies? For example, in the Anglican Church, during Christmas, you got this Night of 10 Carols. I've forgotten what it's called or something. Songs of 10. I've forgotten what it's called.
Even during Lent period.
Yeah, you know the first week of Lent. You know the second week of Lent. You know Ash Wednesday. But it seems like all these things you look forward to as kids, they just go out of the window, and it's hooray, the church is doing Eben coming to minister on this date. Why is Eben coming on that date? What is spectacular about? Is it Lent? Is it the I guess the 7 phases of Christmas? I've forgotten what it's called. Those things you do in preparation to Christmas. Like, why is it like you cannot just choose a random? There's something that should be there. Is it the day of Pentecost? Well, it's just choose when a band is available and it comes and sings, and they make flyers or something. So It seemed like there was no pattern to when there are events. But when growing up as a child, okay,
you can
this is
use
the
the
period of
calendar
time.
to plan.
Harvest is usually the second to the last Sunday of November or the last Sunday of November.
I think that
You know, those kind
harvest
of things.
varies by the parish. Like each parish will have.
You.
So
might
I
have
think
your-
you could also visit other parishes if you want to enjoy, like, be part of their harvest.
So you just you have those kind of things that you look forward to as kids, and
Interesting.
it was just unusual,
Very.
just having events
Like
that are
people-
not regular.
So people can just say, let's have something Sunday. Yeah,
Like me,
it's
I'm
different.
here, like it's not even strange to me because that's what that's how I grew up.
Yeah. Interesting. So I guess what you just spoke about is a good segue into the next one, about just the liturgies in terms of the structure during service versus the free form of worship that you see in modern day or Pentecostal churches. What are your thoughts on that? Which one is your preference, or would you prefer like a hybrid or some sort? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Currently now I'm attending the Pentecostal church. It's under the Pentecostal Assemblies of Canada. It's part of the Holiness branch of Pentecost, technically. But each parish has their own different emphasis. But reason why I'm saying that is, I think I'm getting. I think it might be a cultural thing,
Okay.
because in this our Pentecostal church,
It's different from...
we know that after this we do this, after this we do this, and it doesn't go past.
Yeah.
It doesn't go past the
It's
time.
certainly cultural as opposed
Yes.
to in Nigeria.
It doesn't go
Yes.
past the time, and
If it does 5 minutes.
you understand, right? They have the timers. Everyone is seeing it.
Yes.
Note that when it's someone's time to, like, you're taking the offering and you start singing ba 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 ba.
And that can sometimes that can turn into laying of
It's
hands.
laying of hands and all.
Testimony to
You understand? You hijack the testimony time to pray upon someone. So I'm just saying, like, I know the liturgies are different, and I know, like, I really, even within Canada though, like, I was talking to a Canadian friend of mine that's no longer in the faith. She was saying she grew up a Catholic. Her mom was a Catholic. She was following her mom to church as a Catholic, and her mom now attends a Pentecostal church. So when she goes visiting, maybe Christmas or Canadian Thanksgiving or something, she goes with her mom, and she doesn't enjoy it because it's all rowdy, it's all noisy, there's no order and all that. And I know any Canadian Pentecostal church will have order.
Yeah.
But you understand, but the order was maybe something she's used to, in kind of like, this is Holy Communion, this is this. But so there's still a difference, even within the same Canadian culture. Canadians recognize that there's more order in Catholic church than in Canadian Pentecostal churches, right? Perhaps the lack of order might be a case of the people singing might not have been wearing robes. Like some people wear jeans and this and that.
Even the dressing of the pastor coming to preach.
Yeah,
like,
while
in a Pentecostal church, a pastor will just wear regular
Yes.
jeans and t-shirts, sweatshirts.
the choir will have their robe and all that, but now you see someone with a guitar and all that. So yes, that's still some so I really appreciate that question. Yeah, differences exist in terms of mode of service, regardless of culture. And what do I prefer? The one where there's order, there's uniformity, the choir wears this, they sing this, they do the hymn after this, or the spontaneous one. That's a tough one, to be honest. That's a tough one, and because they all have their merits. they all have their merit. It can be tough for a newcomer to break into
The ones with
a Pentecostal. No,
Pentecostal? Okay.
yeah. Just imagine this. Imagine a Canadian that goes to a Pentecostal church, white Canadian, going to a Redeemed Pentecostal church in Nigeria.
Okay. Yeah.
It will be hard to flow.
Yeah.
But if a white Canadian
Goes to an
Anglican that goes used to an Anglican communion goes to an Anglican church in my village, it might still
Yeah.
it might still blend, right? Like it knows, okay, this is what they are doing now, this is what they are doing now, right? So there's a lot of variance in the Pentecostal stuff, and it's making it really hard for people to appreciate or recognize what is going on, or people that want to learn about Christianity. Okay, in this church that I went to, they say they do offering, and they say everybody should come out and wave their envelope in the air. Is this what all Christians do? It goes to another church.
I get what you mean.
It's different.
This is a different thing. Okay, is this what Christian is all about? So it just makes it confusing. What is your attitude to money? Do you all dance out and all this is, or do you
Pray.
or do you not even talk about it? Because sometimes not even talk, just have something at the back, or do you pass the bucket from pew to pew? Like I feel like it makes it really very interesting for outsiders to really understand or follow some practices when they are not standard. So it may not be welcoming to people that are not in the faith when they go to different Pentecostal churches. But if, let's imagine if every church was Catholic, and they go to this one in Kitchener, they go to another one in Cambridge, they go to... And
They can easily just flow.
yeah, they can. There's this repetition that they see the same patterns, and they can start understanding things, and they can start even asking or trying to be part of things and be welcoming. So
So if you had to choose one,
I'll
choose
go with the most simple one. I'll go with the Orthodox form of service, because it's standard and it applies regardless of where you are. It applies regardless of where you are. I think some things that we do in some Pentecostal services might not scale. What I mean by that is most of us live in cities, grew up in cities, so we have this different form of service. We can take long, we can do stuff, but take it to a village in Anambra or in Gombe, or where this person has allotted this time for this kind of thing, and they've got something after that, or maybe they don't have projectors for you to do these things, or maybe they don't have the fireworks or the smoke. Like, would you still have those
Experience.
Yeah, we used to have that experience. Why not just make it the same thing? Like, we have the same hymn books. You know the hymns you're singing. We have the same messages or the length for messages. And I don't know. I just see a lot of extra things
Nice.
in services.
Speaking on hymns or worship. Quick answer. You can only do hymns in church.
It is
freestyle. What's the newest worship song out there?
It is a huge spectrum, because my wife was playing some songs that were supposedly worship songs for me the other day, and
Supposedly.
It's like you hear things like Zerubbabel with finesse and some things and
So that one is like
okay, those are okay. But
I don't think that would be.
shouldn't all gospel songs be worship?
Yes, that's a different topic, right? But in this case now, because I'm talking about services, right? Like and structure and order and all of that. That's not a song that I mean. I hope
that people will sing
that
in church.
will sing in church. Like choir will get up there and that's what they'll be.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think those are like more like songs like
You walk
people
out.
are making songs for you want to chill with your friends.
Okay.
You want to
But
throw
still
a
to have that
party
vibe.
instead of going to play a song by.
So would you consider Closer a worship song? I saw a choir sing it. So that's why I said it is a spectrum.
I'm weak, please.
That's why I said it is a spectrum, right? So if I'm to choose between hymns and that total end of spectrum where we are trying to be very innovative with our worship songs, I will choose hymns. Now, if I'm to choose between hymns and some of the, how can I put it, more conservative worship songs, like hymns have a structure. You have like a verse
Chorus.
and a chorus or a refrain, right? Worship songs can be, I'm sure they have verse and chorus, but they have this whole repetition of things. Like hymns have this whole like diversity of words along their verses.
Some are like poems.
Some might even have rhyme. Like they're kind of poetic. Some might have rhyme. But some of these worship songs will just be "Holy are you, Lord." Holy is like just repeating, re-emphasizing some stuff and focusing your.
Sing.
You understand? Like it's not like you can't just have a.
But yeah, it's if you're to learn. You don't know a lot of hymns. Like you have to be holding your hands.
When you sing it every day for 5 years, you will know everything, even from the number.
Well, hymn that's
you right, but I would choose those more conservative.
So you would choose conservative modern worship. Scriptural.
Yes, to hymns. Yes.
Okay. Fair.
Because some of these hymns might not. Some of these hymns are powerful. Some might not be that scriptural. But what I really appreciate about the hymns is the writers. When you read the stories behind the hymns and where it came from.
Like this one, it is well with
a lot of this you read them your choir master.
What the writer was going through.
When your choir master is introducing it, is the
choir.
No, but our church used to have a choir master and an organist. So different roles. Yeah, because not everyone can operate an organ, and an organ is not a keyboard. So I would prefer those ones, but I really love hymns though. Do we really when I think about it, for festive times, I prefer the hymns to the other songs. Honestly,
I was going to say, I don't think that's an easy question to answer. Even for me, I didn't grow up listening or singing to a lot of hymns. My church used to have, there was a time over a period that they had, would sing worship, not just sing normal worship songs, I see hymns that you know what I mean? The regular songs, and they would sing hymns, and it was such a vibrant, beautiful moment, right? So I have my moments where I think hymns are like great, and the song, the lyrics, just so beautiful. Another times,
when I think of it though, what I call the conservative worship songs are almost like hymns, to be honest. For example, take
I praise
10,000 Reasons by Matt Redman. Just verses. Bless the Lord, oh my soul. The song comes up, like it has those verses.
Even this one, so we like. today, I don't think anybody knows.
Yeah, a lot of those songs are like hits.
Yeah,
They're just not in
like,
any book.
yes, and they're not
newer,
labeled.
yeah.
They are
You wouldn't
newer.
find
They may not have the notes and the because most of these hymns come with notes and the instrument and the parts.
My church has
And all this,
has,
all
with the book and things, and they say open to book.
Yes, so and that's part of the orderliness. Like when you're listening to It Is Well, you know this is It Is Well, not that someone will come and rap to it. You understand, right? Because with all this modern, you would yeah, like different like this one, this common one that started in Nigeria by the Christ Embassy woman. Sinach.
I
Yeah.
know God says I.
Yes, and there was another one that my Chris Tomlin made popular.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. Waymaker.
Miracle worker. Yeah, like you hear different versions of it. You hear additions to it. You hear when they're singing it multiple times. You hear when it's just the acoustic that's on it. You hear when it's all percussion and it's all like so, but it is well is it is well, and
You people
you're not
to the words, you're not lost.
you are not looking for the new way this choir is interpreting way maker, like do they drag it for long? Do they not repeat the verse? Do they just stick to the chorus? Like it's like they are entertaining you and you're like, oh, this is innovative, this is new. Oh, this is a cappella part. Oh, I've never had it in an a cappella form. Like, and you start getting distracted to how it is being sung rather than what is being said. I think with all this I've been saying, I think I prefer hymns, to be honest.
You keep going.
Yeah, you probably prefer hymns, but let's pivot a bit to governance and structure. Anglican churches versus modern churches. What would you say are the differences?
It's terrible now in the Anglican Church of Nigeria. In my opinion, it's terrible.
Okay.
Reason why I say that is it's not becoming a little bit more money or business driven. Let me explain what I'm saying. Just about 30 to 40 years ago, there were only two dioceses. Diocese of the Niger and maybe diocese of, I don't know what it was called, of Lagos. So just two, and so each diocese has like an archbishop.
Okay.
Now, Ife as a diocese, Ibadan North as a diocese. So there are now like 50 archbishops.
Okay.
In Nigeria. Yes, it's just crazy. Oka in Anambra has a diocese. And all these archbishops, they have their different bishops, and it's money flows to the diocese and all these things. So it's like the way it has. I grew up with the Anglican Church, the opening new dioceses every time and multiple archbishops. It's kind of watered down the whole thing. It was more of a chase for money. The more archbishops there are, the more bishops there will be. The more bishops there will be, the more people parishes will be sending money to. And like if you want to do some rites like burial rites and all this, you go to your parish. Oh, you have not paid this for this. You're not. Most of those money is going to the bishop. Wedding and all these things, right? So if we did not have that many bishops or that centralized form that's getting money, if they just left it at those two dioceses and all the parishes are there and don't have all those, I think it would have been better. I think it would. I may not have this position if the money was used for useful things. I know they're part of the evangelical movement, preaching of Gideon Bible and interdenominational things, but a lot of times you see these bishops in the Anglican Church not being connected with the people. You see someone holding the Bible for them and they are reading like they cannot read it. They cannot hold it themselves.
Wow.
The bishop is coming to the parish. You do a lot of stuff. You do a lot of crazy things. Send him with big money. Yes. And having said that, I think I prefer it to a lot of Pentecostal churches where...
Why?
Because firstly, I believe you need to be trained and taught to do some things.
Okay.
Many people become pastors or bishops or apostles or whatever in this Pentecostal and just water down the name. An archbishop should mean something. A cathedral should mean something. See, it's not just names are for some. Maybe it's a personal peeve. What should that be meaning?
Yeah.
Right. And you see a lot of Pentecostal churches being loose with titles, and you don't really know what a bishop should be doing different from a pastor. And it just makes it a little bit more muddled, right? And that whole part of mentorship is not also there too, right? And I think also I think the whole structure also helps provide opportunities for growth and outreach. And I've explained what I mean.
Okay.
Imagine I don't know, vicar or a chaplain somewhere, and they open a diocese in Bauchi or Benue, or they open a parish there. I posted to Bauchi that is not yet a diocese, so it's not a cathedral yet. I'll try and reach the community because there's some things that makes a parish a cathedral or something, like number of people, and you try to reach out more, you try to expand more, you try to touch more lives and all this, because you know it's good for the work of God, but you also know that there's this promotion that comes automatically with stuff like that.
Yeah, but isn't it the promotion that got us to the point where there are so many, bishops?
That's true. That's true, but you cannot.
It's because that's what I think anyway. That when there's you don't have to just be a chaplain. You can be this, everyone is sort of trying to get to that next, and sometimes that's where politics will even start coming in, linking up with the right bishops and the right, be in their good books, so that you can be if they are opening something next, you're next in line. So
the way I see it, so we see it with a lot of Pentecostal churches. They open something in Lagos. They will have Yaba branch. They will have Island branch, right? In the Anglican Church, we might have the Bishop of Lagos. That's cathedral.
Yeah.
No matter how many Anglicans are in Lagos, it's still that
reporting
Bishop of the. You understand what I mean, right? So if someone has been putting like winning souls, growing his parish, this one, it's still that same stuff.
Okay.
I see a lot of Pentecostal churches operating in cities. In my village, there's no Pentecostal church at all. Not one. It's only a Catholic and an Anglican church. And the catechist there or the father there or something just tries to bring everyone to Christ and everything, because he loves God and everything. But also, it might also, if there will be a chance, maybe they will break something and it to become a diocese. That is fine, or something.
Yeah.
So it just encourages people to do more outreach, to go to people that have not been that have not heard of Christ, to build the faith in there. In a lot of Pentecostal churches, what I see is, I don't see a lot of new believers. I see a lot of believers that are just changing churches. They think it's church growth, but is it church growth if you move from if you bring someone from Pentecostal church ABC to Pentecostal church XYZ? We are the new believers you're making.
I get what you mean. A lot of times, like, these people are likely in rural areas where they are sort of off. Like, there's a high chance that like someone in a big city like Lagos, for example, is likely to encounter someone that will preach to them.
Let us even go to the north.
Yeah.
Go to Kano, go to Kaduna. You see Anglican church, Catholic church, or the Baptist church, or
not as
you don't see
churches.
Like, why it not looks like a thing of convenience. That where it's convenient to be a Christian,
Abuja,
we will keep on setting up churches.
Okay.
And we keep on having more pastors. When we have many pastors, it becomes a bishop. But I think in a lot of Orthodox churches, it doesn't come like that. That old provision doesn't come like that. I think the current head of the Anglican Church in Nigeria, Primate Ndukuba, I believe he spent a lot of time in Gombe, growing the faith there.
Okay.
All right. So that's why I see a lot of benefits in the way the hierarchy is structured in Orthodox churches as opposed to Pentecostal churches, where in one church you might have 5 pastors. They keep on promoting people, or it's the person that contributes the most or something and all that. But if you can't have 2 chaplains or 2 bishops in the location, one needs to just go out and
actually go and do outreach.
And many times, what I see in Orthodox churches is when they go out, they go to the those Gombe, not these things. Like, it is not odd to say that, oh, this father was posted, or we don't have father actually, but this father was posted to Sokoto, or this chaplain is now
and not necessarily even in the capital city of that state.
Just Christ must be heard everywhere.
Yes, and makes sense, because, like, I think many times it's also a profession for them too. Like, they don't have other side jobs. Like, if when you become a bishop,
oh, that's all you do.
Yes,
okay.
And
as opposed to sometimes people still have their day jobs.
Yes, so it's kind of easy to take him to Bauchi, to take him to Gombe,
because you can't make
there's
me
nothing
pastor
tying him down
and
to
then say go and quit your job because and then go to Gombe to go and find another job.
Are they typically married?
In the Anglican communion, yes.
Okay.
That was one of the outcomes of Protestantism. People that serve, clergies could serve and be married.
Okay.
And Protestant breakout from Catholic also says we are all clergies in our own right. We don't need to go through someone to get to God. Yeah. So yes, they are married, to answer your question. Yeah.
Okay. Because if they weren't, I can also like see the ease of
Yeah.
You have kids schools, things like that.
Funny thing is, many of the times they set up schools where they go. Their spouses help teach.
Okay. Even if it's like a small homeschool situation.
Like just to spell, read and write. I see a lot of that, and I wonder how come our Pentecostal churches don't follow those models. They set up schools, but universities or secondary schools, we have big money paid. It's more like let's make money. But what happened to literacy?
You're
Teaching
just
people to
giving
read.
back in places where there are children that are, past school age, but they don't know how to read and write.
It
Yeah,
goes back to that thing that you were saying about the
location,
area where they're setting up the school.
My dad would have been educated even for the Anglican Church, St. John's. That was where it was taught to read and write, and they posted him to government college.
It's true, like you see it in a lot of the public schools that got taken over by the government. You see in the names of St. Anne's, St. this, St. that. Like you see, and you know that it's actually like a missionary. It started off as a missionary school. Before sometimes government, they will take over and change the name. Sometimes when you go and check, you would actually see that it was founded as a missionary school. One white person from England or somewhere will come around and then start with few kids.
And it's still going on now, even in Nigeria. When they send someone to a parish in Sokoto or something, is just teach, right, and you just teach them and all these things. Then they can refer them to maybe Abuja or to one school in Abuja or something. They can refer the
I think there's still some Pentecostal churches that do this. What's the word? This thing where they go on mission trips, right? And then they set up schools, they do all of that. I belong to a couple of churches because they help with schools and teaching.
I'm not saying Pentecostal churches don't help with mission. Mission schools are different from you're a chaplain, you're living in the village.
But it goes
You're
back to
living there
that
for
thing of
12 years.
They have a job. So if they cannot do it in the way the Anglican church is doing it, but then there's a form of that going for, 3-4 months or whatever, setting up schools, teaching those people in the faith. I think someone from my church does that. He goes to all this Nicaragua, like those kind of countries, right? And help them, teach them, things like that. I think it's also a part of his job, Seth. His daily. But
this what you're referring to now is from your church here in Canada. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
and I see a difference between mission trips and someone living in a community. Mission trips are like most times, let's say, mission trips are like you've got recurrent headache and given the Advil. Maybe it's caused by dehydration or something. But when you go sit up there, is that you're giving them supply of water every time so that the headache doesn't come. And I'm not against mission trips. I'm just saying, like, many of these Orthodox churches are embedded in communities. They're the cornerstone of the communities. They bring in the light to those communities. And when the person that's leading that keeps on doing that, it gets recognized to some point and start moving up the ranks. So I really like that part, and I really like the part of it comes with experience and doing work. It's not that I had a revelation and then I become a bishop. And even Timothy had to learn from Paul. And all those guys we see in the Bible, there's a model of that in the Bible.
Absolutely.
And I think another major part of structure or governance that I see there is a major difference is also in I think it's related to what you were saying about being taught, but just the accountability or how discipline will be handled in Orthodox, or because in Orthodox churches, like if there are reports going up about a certain chaplain, the archbishop or the bishop can, summon that person. There can be a committee investigating that, and then they say, this is what we found, this is what we're doing, and if they have to remove or transfer or make the person go for. I think that's sort of something that's also different in terms of governance.
Yes. And I think you see it a lot of times where in some Pentecostal churches the founder dies and it doesn't continue.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so chaplains come and go. The parish will still remain.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, so like one person is not bigger than the church. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That,
Valid.
Anyway,
Valid.
so what would you say are practices that the modern church, you wish they could adopt from the Orthodox?
hymns. One thing that I would like to see is I think a lot of modern churches did MBAs. What I mean by that is they run it like businesses.
Okay.
Branding. Let's establish our brand.
Okay.
So you go to social media. In Pentecostal church XYZ, we believe blah blah blah. Or in the pastor XYZ from this one said that. They always put their brand or their this in there. Why can't they just say Christians should da? Because like if
The Bible said.
or the Bible, like they should not put the church there, or they should not put the pastor. Like we encourage you to do XYZ in this period. So it seems like they have that MBA mindset of establish your brand, expand your market, and And I see a lot of that. And did the Anglican, Baptist, Methodist churches do that? I don't think they did that. They did that through missionaries. They enter people that have not been reached for Christ. Those people don't even know if it's Methodist or Anglican. They just know that this person gave me bandage. This person took care of my wound.
Yeah.
And all, like, it's not, the bandage doesn't have the logo of Anglican Communion or Methodist this thing. So I don't think a lot of new modern churches, they do this whole competition to gain the attention of people, and sometimes they just go overboard with it. Even in the middle of doing good, I think there are a lot of scholarships that funded by churches. There are a lot of hospitals that are funded by churches. No one knows if it's the Anglican or the Methodist or the Catholic. No one knows. It's just St. Jude's, St. blah blah hospital. 20% of the parishes of that might be, a parish might give 20% of their offering to that hospital. But you might not, but I don't think a Pentecostal church will be doing that, or a modern church will be doing that this time. Everyone will know.
It will be part of the churches.
Yes, they carry it on their forehead and they put their tweets. I don't even think most of this
social media.
you understand, right? I think they should need to calm down on these things and not really blow their horns. I don't think it's even that scriptural. When your right hand gives, left hand should not know. And focus more on Jesus, not Pastor XYZ says this or Church ABC
is doing this.
Focus more on Jesus. Yeah.
And then a love for the people too.
And the people, right? And the people, right? So like it's the Anglican Church of Nigeria should have about 20 to 30 million people, which is substantial.
Yeah.
I think it should almost be the same size of an RCCG. The Catholic might even have more. Do you know the name of the primate of the Anglican Church of Nigeria?
No.
Do you know the name of the topmost Catholic guy, Cardinal? Maybe
Absolutely not.
It's like, why am I saying this? It's not about the person as such. You don't need to, in the name of Reverend blah blah blah, I command. Why are you lifting up these people as such? They have done a great work. They are messengers of God and they serve those. But let's focus on Jesus more. Let's focus on reaching out to the underserved. Let's let's plant more churches in Gombe, in Jigawa, and
Those areas.
let's not be kidnapping from other churches to another church. You see people.
That's not evangelism.
Kidnapping.
They're kidnapping from you. Yeah,
Come to my church.
I have
Come to my church.
I have legit heard and seen. I was very in my university days. I used to lead some Christian groups. I've legit.
Chux.
Yes, I have legit heard and seen some fellowships saying, "Okay, let's invite this musician
To draw people.
to the church, to our service." And when they are planning this, they use that chance to talk more about their fellowship.
Yeah.
So those people that come from other fellowships will come to their own fellowship. But there are other students out there that don't even go to
Don't
another
even care about
fellowship.
Jesus. They don't
Why
know.
not go there?
All those ones.
Why are we competing for the same? It's not a competition. You're looking on, okay, if I bring this musician, what is the return on investment in terms of the offering that we'll collect? And I think a lot of modern churches are running it like businesses, and if they're running it as businesses and they're not called churches, maybe called organizations or something, that is fine. But you can't call yourself a church and your primary focus is, or your metric is,
Numbers.
the number of people, the amount of offering, the number of locations you open in Lagos or Ibadan. Go and open in Niger State. Let me see something first.
Or even in that Lagos, Makoko, I what they call
Yeah,
that.
there are a lot of places that
Yeah.
go to some villages in Badagry, Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure that there will be some Pentecostal churches that have the down to earth, like we're not trying to have, because I think that's where it starts becoming murky, when people start targeting having mega becoming a mega church, so I think there are still Pentecostal churches that probably not as popular, not that are
Do you think in your village you would see a modern Pentecostal church there? What are the chances you see a modern Pentecostal church there as opposed to seeing a Baptist or an Adventist or an Anglican?
My village is only Equa.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
cool.
yes, I
And don't you think
RCCG,
grandma and grandpa don't?
they try. RCCG tries in terms of church
They do.
planting and going to different areas. So if you are going to find a Pentecostal church in an area that is not very that is not a proper city, it's most likely going to be RCCG or Living Faith. I think that's what I think. Those are like the two.
Living Faith.
Those are like the two Pentecostal churches that I would say.
There's Living Faith in my church, I forgot. I mean, in my village.
Yeah, those are the two churches that are likely to have parishes in areas that
That's
how
good,
far
that's
they
good.
go, I can't say, but I know that these churches actually,
You're right.
and sometimes the constraint in planting or starting parishes in some of these areas is also the people to go, because they must be willing.
They have to be supported.
Yeah.
Like
There must be willing laborers that are willing to live their sweet life, even if they are full-time pastors. It's easier to be a pastor in a
Lagos.
parish where most of your church members are doing they have 6-figure job, they work in banks and oil companies, versus a small town or village where you would actually be expected to feed those people. Small children will come to front of your house to say, "Mommy, pastor, what did you do?"
but shouldn't that be the heart of?
Yes, but I'm saying that I'm putting myself in the position of a founder, the right word, the leader of a mega church now. Surely I can't be everywhere at the same time. Okay, I would love someone to go to one village in Medjugorje, but who wants to go? Who wants to be transferred? I've seen, because in all of these things, there's a lot of politics too. I've seen people lobby to make sure that they don't get transferred, right, from the church. And you will see while some other pastors are getting transferred like every couple of years or 5 years or whatever, some will turn to, it's almost as if they built that church. And in some cases, no, I built this church. Maybe they only had 10 chairs. Now it has turned to a big building. People contributed money. How do you want to transfer that part? So it becomes a thing, right? Like, again, convenience. So I think everyone, including leader and the people, the clergymen, they have to be willing to, why are we really doing this? Must I only do it in the place where it's convenient for me? And I think it applies to all of us too. Like, even as I'm here now, it's easier for me to say I'm going to downtown to go and preach than to say I want to go into some
Moscow.
Yeah, or I want to travel even out of Canada to a different place. It's scary, it's daunting, and I think we all have to sort of renew our minds to know that, okay, wherever we go, we're going with God, and we shouldn't only do what's convenient. Because I mean, even in small evangelism, it's easier for us to preach to that old school, childhood friend that we already have a rapport with than to randomly go to a stranger because we are scared.
Yes.
So I think it's all of those things. So, yeah.
Don't get me. Yeah, I think the point I was trying to make is I don't see modern churches out of cities. I want to see them more.
Yes, I agree, and I think we've spoken about this before, like not on like not during an episode, but just random conversation. We've talked about this before, like rather than having so many parishes or branches, I don't think we use parish.
200 kilometers radius.
Like, why can we not go to these places, especially places where we know that it's definitely a different religion. Like, we know that the major religion in this place is not Christianity. Why not go to those places? So it would be good to see a lot of modern churches in these areas.
This theory that if modern day Pentecostal churches were the first people that started the Protestant movement, I don't think we would know English, or missionaries would have reached the shores. They would just be in London or in Manchester and growing more and more and more and more and more and more.
But at the end of the day, my own theory is also, it is Christ building his church. So I feel like one way or the other, there would have been, spread.
I agree.
Either they wanted to spread or not. I feel like they would have still been spread. So anyway, this has been very insightful, and but just to wrap it up.
Are we wrapping up?
Yes. You are ready to go another.
I've never talked about the Chicago Quadrilateral.
What's that? Parallelogram.
The Synod of Constantinople.
We'll bring it.
Not today. So just to wrap up, like, if you can just share, like, from your own, you grew up in Orthodox church, now attending Pentecostal, you've been part of Pentecostal groups and all of that. How, would you say one should find a balance, like, regardless of where one finds oneself, like, not being in, I'm in an Anglican church or Orthodox church, and all I'm doing is just, I'm only going by, because, sometimes people can also get stuck in the, this is like, and get stuck in that, and, nothing can even be
Nothing
out
else
of
is Christianity.
Yes. Or, it's just, we're just free and there's no structure. Like, what would you recommend in, finding the balance? Like, okay, you're in Pentecostal church, still finding a way to have that structure, even if it's personal, in not getting lost, like some of the examples of worship songs that you give, right? And if it's Anglican church too, or any Orthodox church, how do we find the balance? Like from your own personal experience, what would you recommend?
I think nothing beats personal devotion, right? It's your personal devotion that's when you build your resolve. That's when you gain your understanding. Yeah, the church is good, right? Going for service and all, but if it's just Sunday service, that's your thing. You might need to. If that's where you get the only thing, then you might be shortchanging yourself. So, at the end, I personally feel the difference in service modes for Sunday services might not be that material for a lot of people who have been in the faith for a while, who have their own personal fellowships going on, even individual or with other people outside the Sunday service. At the end of it all, I feel churches need to calm down sometimes, to be honest, and just calm down and just do fewer things on Sunday.
Keep it simple.
Yes,
simple.
Calm down. Calm down. We're entering the Christmas season now, and you start saying some churches down south that we have the old pyrotechnics and people flying across roads. You see Santa sleighing and you've not seen those things in some churches. Oh, they grow all crazy, man, with some crazy stuff going on during service, and it can be distracting. It's entertaining, right? But
are we in church to be entertained?
Are we to entertain? I think it comes down. Why do we even do Sunday services? To be honest,
that is a wonderful episode. A big topic for another episode.
Is that a good wrap?
But I like how the conversation before this last question, just that even though it is an Orthodox church or a modern church, I love how at the end of the day it was still centered around preaching the gospel, reaching souls, which is really the motive of each and every one of us as believers, to get people saved, reach these hearts, reach the hearts of men, and just get them to Christ. Let them at least have an opportunity to hear about Christ. So it's very beautiful. At the end of the day, whatever you choose, as long as the main thing is about Christ, I think it's up to you individually as a person.
Choose what works for you, and whatever you do in moderation, I guess.
Absolutely. And I'm going to judge you if you start rapping to it as well.
Fair enough.
Right.
Fair enough.
You will be judged.
Well, there's probably a song out there already.
I know, right?
It's probably out there
well.
It is well with finesse.
Wow.
Hey, I'm not here.
No, that was the only one that my wife played for me, so I don't know any other modern song.
Thank you so much.
All right, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Hope you to come back soon, and all the best in the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. We need it.
All right. Okay, what is that catchphrase that you said?
Wait first.
Okay,
we're not there yet.
Okay, all right. There is an order, A, B, C, D.
Exactly.
Yes, we are doing.
So, guys, we hope that you've enjoyed this as much as we did. It's been very enlightening. So, if you have questions, you have comments, you want to share anything, please share with us on our YouTube channel, Something Like Podcast. And, share, like, subscribe, and if you have any questions about the Anglican Church, we'll make sure that if you leave any comments, we'll get Chux to answer. And you can also find us on
Get him to fire up his laptop.
You can find us on social media at s_livepod on Instagram and on X or Twitter, whatever you call it. Meet me on X. Okay, and then please subscribe to our audio podcast on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And we hope you enjoyed this and you will love to have Chux again on another episode. And until the next episode, keep shining.
Keep shining as the light that you are. Yes, I've been waiting for that part. That's the most important part.
Right.
Bye.